Hello friends and welcome back to another video where today we will be reviewing and breaking down episode 4 of The Lord of the Rings of Power season 2 named The Eldest. The fourth chapter of season 2 gave viewers the complete Middle-earth experience from Ents, Barrow-wights and even Tom Bombadil. But did this all work? Well, let's discuss. But first, let's break down and look at some Easter eggs from today's video. So, the first one is let's go through the mines. The episode starts with Galadriel and Elrond arguing about which path they should take, with the inevitable path which Elrond chooses despite the warning of Galadriel, ending up with the company facing creatures of terror and the breaking of their group. Which of course sounds very similar to when in the movies Frodo decides to go into the mines of Moria, but first they get attacked by a creature of terror in regards to the Watcher, which eventually leads to the breaking of the Fellowship, and in this scenario they end up facing the Barrow-wights. Barrow-wights killed Messenger. We also find out in this episode that the Barrow-wights probably acted on Sauron's ordered and/or returned due to his rising presence of darkness and evil in general, and ultimately stopped Calanwe, the messenger, from reaching Eregion and alerting Celebrimbor about the true identity of Halbrand, prophecy of the Shire. So Nori had the runes and drawings on the wall explained to her by Gundabel about the prophecy of the land they might one day find and establish. The bridge and everything alike is very reminiscent, of course, of the Shire, and is this a reference and foreshadowing of where the Half-It storyline will go, whereby Nori and co end up establishing the Shire, which of course is a really likelihood at this point. So yes, we shall have to wait and see, and let us know what you think about this in the comments below. Grand Elf. So, one of the biggest teasers and Easter eggs on this episode is Gundabel teasing potentially the stranger's identity, as when Nori is trying to overall explain the identity of the stranger to the Harfoots and Stores, Gundabel ends up comparing him to a quote Grand Elf. So is this where the name Gandalf may potentially come from? Or is this a little nod and Easter egg beforehand from the showrunners to the viewers that yes, the stranger is Gandalf, and there's like a little "oh, we told you here" type of thing? We shall see. Evil Wizard Istar. We also learn in Rune that the Dark Wizard, played by Kieran Hines, is in fact an Istard and one of the 5 wizards from Tolkien's Legendarium. We also learn that this Istar also went and tried and learnt from Tom Bombadil. One theory could be that he is one of the Blue Wizards and he killed his other Blue Wizard counterpart, and this is why the stranger was sent to save the day and re-establish order. Nameless things. One big moment of the episode is when Arondir kills the worm creature after slicing through it internally, and afterwards when explaining to Isildur and Estrid, he mentions a line very similar to what Gandalf said in Moria when mentioning the quote, "There are nameless things in the deep places of this world." This is what Arondir said in this episode and is very reminiscent of that. Galadriel's visions. Galadriel's visions through Nenya showcase what's to come with the sack of Eregion and the toppling of Feanor's statue, and a teaser of the finale showdown between Galadriel and Halbrand, which will happen in episode 8, which hints at Sauron using his original clean-shaven Halbrand form, mainly from Numenor we saw in season 1, to maybe convince Galadriel in a potential decision or ultimatum. Tom Bombadil. Well, isn't there a lot to unpack, and we will be doing a separate video on Tom Bombadil and breaking this properly down, but at surface level, Tom is of course referred to as the Hermit, and very coincidentally has an old man willow-esque tree near his house where the stranger got consumed. We also received a hint at Goldberry through hearing her talk, but did not get to see her on screen as of yet. We also learned that Tom Bombadil is out in Rune to investigate what has happened to the once green lands, which, as he mentioned to the stranger, he had seen before, as he is the eldest. Ent and Entwives. Seeing the pair of Ent and Entwives holding hands was sweet, and the male Ent, voiced by well-known Harry Potter star Jim Broadbent, was a really nice thing to hear and see as well. So yes, we got the return of these beloved creatures to Middle-earth, and we know that they are now similar in the Two Towers. The orcs are ravaging through their forests, and the big line of the episode, forgiveness takes an age. So overall, episode 4 of the Rings of Power season 2 almost felt like its own standalone episode, in the sense that it felt like the main protagonists were encountering and fighting off against different creatures, whether that be massive worms, barrow-wights, ents, or even Tom Bombadil. For me, Tom Bombadil is a decisive addition. You either love him or hate him, and for me right now, I feel like I need another episode to truly come to a decision. But of course we hear the famous song, and his dialogue is mostly from the books, which is good. It's just more so his seriousness and whether it's justifiable yet to have him in the narrative. But the fact they have decided to have the reason Stranger was meant to go to Rune was because of Tom Bombadil is an interesting way to do it. But I still need to wait a bit for Tom Bombadil to fully work for me. Let me know about this in the comments below and whether Tom Bombadil worked for you. Of course, the whole big conversation around in The Lord of the Rings, even why it wasn't included in the movies, because the mysteriousness, there's different aura he has. It's almost you don't show that on screen because it's just something so different. But, you know, if Tolkien wrote it, it can be done. If you want a faithful adaptation, really interesting to see how that all works out. The elven fight with the Barrow-wights was also shorter than expected. I thought that would be a bit longer, but it was interesting to see, of course, how the elves fared against them, and once Elrond found that the sword, their blades do work against them, it seemed like it ended quickly, but again, it was very, very scary, and the whole mood and scening and lighting, everything was amazing. So the actual fight itself was good. I just wished it was a bit longer. But for me, the best part of the episode goes to the Ent and Entwives, which provided many warm and heart-melting moments, especially that scene with Arondil where he goes up the tree trunk and almost calms her down, and they almost, even though she's seeking forgiveness, even though he is looking for forgiveness, the Ent wife doesn't really have the capability to get there yet, but understands that he is trying his best and not everyone is evil. So yes, whenever there are Ents on screen, it's always a really, really heartwarming moment. But for me, if I was about 10, 12 years old, I'd probably love this episode because it's got Ents, it's got Barrow-wights, it's got everything, you know, all these Tolkien tidbits, it's got the cool stuff, but does it work narratively, does it work in the second age, does it work in the story? And that is something that I'll be interested to see what you guys will say about that, because I have given my thoughts on it so far. I give The Eldest 3 out of 5 stars, and yes, looking forward, of course, with the cliffhanger of Adar and Galadriel reuniting again. Episode 5 will be looking very, very interesting. But yep, that's it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate it. Again, let us know everything you think in the comments below. But until the next video, my friends, goodbye.